Well, President Obama talking about U.S. relations with Cuba earlier, and as the two countries have now restored full diplomatic relations after a 54-year-old departure, with Cuba raising its country's flag at its embassy in the United States today. Joining us now to discuss this is Raul Mas, CEO of Gladius Consulting. And Raul, we got a couple of minutes to talk about this. You talk about Wayne Smith, the former chief of mission in Havana. He had this to say about the situation. Let's take a listen.
At long last, look, the old policy of refusing to dialogue gained us nothing.
But you say there's still a lot of bad wounds that remain unhealed at this point. Give us your concerns about this thaw in diplomatic relations.
Sure. First of all, folks need to realize that Mr. Wayne Smith has been an apologist for the Cuban regime for as long as I remember hearing his name, quite frankly. And that's a very, very long period of time. He's a gentleman who a long time ago went into the Castro camp very, very clearly. There's absolutely no question about that from people who know him, including those in the academic community. A couple of things that strike me, and the reason I object to what we saw today. Quite frankly, in my humble opinion, this is simply going to, once again, prolong the dictatorship in Cuba, whether it's Raul Castro or Fidel Castro, or the number of individuals that are lined up behind him to continue keeping the Cuban people and the Cuban economy under their thumb. What Cuba is looking for here is not to change their regime, is not to change or open up to the rest of the world. What they're looking to do is to save their own hides. And what they want out of this is to be just like Vietnam or just like China, where you have one-party rule that continues to run the government, continues to control all the levers, continues to have a stranglehold on human rights, and basically enjoys the privileges of capitalism on a global scale. That's what Raul and Fidel Castro want out of this deal, and that, quite frankly, is what President Obama and Secretary Kerry have handed to him on a silver platter with very few, if any, preconditions.
And again, Raul, it seems like this has been a failure of the Obama administration to properly negotiate a deal here when we did not get those guarantees for Cuban dissidents and their freedom. So we'll see where things go from here. Raul Mas, thanks for your take on this. And, of course, we'll have you back, I think, later in the week. We'll have more to discuss. Raul, always great to see you.
Thank you very much.
Of course, Newsmax viewers as well had a lot to say about this, weighing in on the restoration of ties between the U.S. and Cuba. Let's take a look at what some folks had to say. Bike riding man says, quote, "This has turned out to be the most fit lame duck in U.S. history." Remember the Republicans' triumphant bravado after taking control in 2014. Since then, it has been one Obama victory lap after another. Thanks, Bike Ride Man, for writing in.
And he's not the only one commenting. Larry says, total surrender to the world. Fly any flag as long as it isn't the Confederate battle flag.
Man. All right, a lot of comments coming in. Of course, we want to hear from you. It's always a good time to send us a tweet. You can reach out to us on Facebook, facebook.com/Newsmax, or tweet us at NewsmaxTV. You can also reach out to me personally at JohnB_Newsmax. We're always online on Twitter and on Facebook as well.
Well, you know, it's hard because you have to recognize that it wasn't working for decades, what was going on in Cuba.
Obviously, though, Cuba was willing to come to the table to negotiate. It seems like this in the Iran deal, we could have just pushed a little bit harder to get those American hostages freed from Iran and maybe gotten some more protection from the Cuban dissidents. Another negotiation blunder, perhaps, by the Obama administration. Make sure you stay tuned to Newsmax TV, The Daily Wrap with Joe Concha and Rick Unger coming up right after this. And, of course, Newsmax.com is always online.